Start the recording. Recording started. Okay, so everybody can see it now. Perfect. So let's start with the title. So the title for today's class is while loop, obviously. So the title is first of all week 13 lecture 1. So while loop part 3 and 4. Okay, so that's our goal today. Then title description. So this is the nested while loop. You guys remember the nested loop in for loop? What is nested loop? Loop inside loop. You guys remember? Okay, loop inside loop. That's called the nested loop. Alright, so the nested while loop, and then you can put the author name, date, and email and everything, the usual thing. I'm gonna skip all of them, but I'm gonna start with the CLC, clear, close all. You know all those things, right? What those things means. So I don't want to write those things again. And for today's class, I'm gonna start with say like sample number 1, which is the projectile motion, obviously. Now, as I said, you may copy these things from the last class, right? Which I'll be doing, by the way, shortly. But I'm gonna put the title first. So this is our goal for today's while loop, and I have the projectile motion somewhere. Let's see if I have it here. This is the last lecture while loop. Yep, I do have it here. Okay, so I'm gonna just use not all of it, just some of it. Okay, I'm copying it from week 11 lecture 1 and pasting it. Okay, just to save time. So if you have it with you, you can do the same. Do you guys have this thing, the previous file, all of you? Jason, you have it? Yeah. You copied and pasted already, all three of you? Okay, do it. This could be helpful to you. Okay, so save as I'd like to save it as week 13 lecture 1, right? Okay, so I copied and pasted. The reason I did that, because most of the thing I'm going to keep. First of all, so the thing that I'm highlighting, I'm going to keep all of them. Okay, I'm going to keep this up to this. And this time matrix, I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to delete it, but before I delete it, I'm just highlighting, keep highlighting the same thing again. You see that? So time matrix, I'm going to delete it. There is a reason behind that, because I'm not using the for loop, okay? I'm using the while loop, and I don't need the time matrix, all right? So once you're done with that, then I'm gonna start to I'm gonna alright, so actually, you know what, just to avoid the confusion, just delete all everything, just keep that up to this. Alright, so everybody's up to this. Just keep those few lines, delete everything, okay, just to avoid the confusion. Or let's just start. So j equal 1, so which is the loop counter. Let me put this thing. So I'm initializing the loop counter, okay, and then I'm gonna define a matrix x and y first element, which is xo, not 0 by the way, and y first element as yo, not 0. Okay, and then I'm gonna define the first element of a time matrix. Remember, I don't have a time matrix like before, right? For loop, time equal t1 actually let me define the time matrix. Just 1 second. Let me copy this line for the time matrix and put it here. Keep that, so I can define a new variable called time1 as t1. Then I'm gonna start writing the while loop. So write the while loop. Okay, so while yj is greater than or equal to 0, then j equal to loop counter, you'd like to increase the value of loop counter by 1, and then xj and yj, you'd like to use the x and y equation here, which is xo plus vo multiplied tj multiplied cos t theta. Okay, and the unit is meter. Okay. And I'm doing a little bit of cheating by copying and pasting sin d theta and adding a new term, obviously 0.5 ay tj square, or half of ayt square. That's the second part of the equation. And then you'd like to update the time matrix element by time j equal tj, and as I was saying, you are building a matrix, right, of the time we have used. Now you can plot this thing by, I would like to copy this again. Just 1 second. I'd like to copy this. All right. So figure 1. Okay, you can possibly do another thing like the marker size as well. So it's a new thing. Marker 0 is the marker size, right? So marker size, say like is 10 here. The axis values, maybe you can change it this time 120, and this one is 20. And the time matrix, you want to change it to 100. Okay, you see, let me highlight that. What did I change? So the time matrix, it used to be 10 second. You want to change it to 100. Everybody see that, the highlighted thing? Okay, this is where I'm doing the changes. I'm highlighting only on those portion. So here I did copy it, that raw now, and then here this marker size is what I did change. Here this figure one what I did change, right? And another option that you'd like to use called hold on, and then you'd like to end this. Okay, you can do fprintf. You'd like to display the results. So the ball hits the ground at /n time and all right. I have a typo here. It should be VO, not V0. I'm highlighting the typo. So this is where I did the typo, so it should be VO. Okay. Now what? Figure one. Oh yeah, here is the another typo. It should be J. I'm highlighting that as well. All right, now this axis obviously is not enough to fill out the whole thing, so you may wanna use this. So I don't know, maybe okay, what about 1200 and then 200? Let's see if it changes something. Yep, it does, but obviously 1200 is not enough. So let's change it to 1700 just like before. Yep, 1700 works. So this 200 is not, is too much. Let's change it to 130, I guess. Yep, that is perfect. All right, guys. So see, by using the while loop, again, instead of for loop, what we are doing here, the take-home message is, you see, we had a loop counter defined J before the while loop, and inside the while loop, we just keep increasing the loop value, like the counter value, sorry. So J equal to J plus 1, that's it. Sorry? Son of giving you, right? Oh, your laptop is giving you? No. You have the answer, the printed answer, right? I want to change then the scale. So I did change it from axis, you see the axis function?
Yes.
0 to 1700, 0 to 130. Change it to that. I initially had it different, that's why probably you have this value. So the axis, you see at the almost at the very end.
I have it as that though.
I had it updated that way, 1700 and 130. Working for you. Okay, Ben, this is what I was showing. You see, you update this line, Ben.
Yeah, I did update that one.
At 1700 130, and it's still not. Is it like 0, comma 1700 0, comma
Yeah.
that
Yep.
1700 0, comma 130? And Ethan, it should be showing 9.5 second. Why it's showing 0 to you? It's showing 0, right? In our case. That doesn't make sense. It takes some time for them all to hit the ground. Even though you define the T matrix to 0 to 100, but it just takes like 9.5 seconds. Check the code again, Ethan.
Is it counting the
Yes.
very first time interval as hitting the ground because it starts at 0?
It could be for your case, but why? It's just like, the time end is the end. Means where the while loop end, that's why it's stressing. So this is a benefit of, see, like the for loop and it will just you understand, right? What is going on in that? So while loop and for loop, the difference is in for loop, it could have run for 100 seconds. In while loop, it is not doing that. It's just ending it when it's hit the ground. And that's the condition, right? The condition is what? Like the y can be less than 0. It should be 0. Okay, so that's the, okay, so you are getting it, right? You are getting it.
I had that as well, Coach Scott.
Yeah. What is that? Oh, you should try and, I don't know if that does make that much of a difference. Greater than or equal to 0.
I was wondering if that would work well.
Greater than before. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
Oh, your theta is different than ours. Theta is 15. What is our theta? 30? 15? Oh. These zeros. Did you change anything?
Could it be because my plot won't show, therefore it's not getting a value from the plot?
Your program is crashed for sure inside. You have invalid parameter. Oh, why are you missing I and J? J.
I see.
Invalid parameter has list line list invalid parameter list. My code that is running. You completed as a free software?
This one is not. But I can just run on this again to see if it's like
The same thing, same error is this one, yeah. Yeah, that is, and then maybe we have to so then bottom line you can, yeah, obviously if my code doesn't work here, that means this computer is cursed. And if if it doesn't work, then something happened with your code. Okay?
Right.
And then, obviously your code does have the option to run in your own laptop or other computer.
Right.
Okay.
I know, it's fun.
Alrighty, guys. Ooh. So after that, I have this other method of solving this while loop. Okay, we'll be doing the same problem, projectile problem, okay? Other method, okay? And we are doing very well with the time because we did copy and paste. We'll be doing pretty much the same thing again, okay? The projectile method, other method, projectile motion, other method, example 2. So I'd like to do copy and paste. As long as you can do it properly, it's fine. Most of the time when students do copy and paste, they forgot to take out things, and that can cause a issue. So projectile method, other method. All right, so then obviously I'm gonna start with this, all those things, CLC clear, close all, or at least CLC clear. I don't wanna close this first figure. I'd like to keep it, and then define the constant. Okay, I'm gonna copy that. So new chapter here. All right, so then not everything that I'm going to keep. I'm going to keep the first one, define constant. The theta, I'm going to change it to 30 this time. All right, so V0, I'm going to change it to 35. Initial velocity, obviously. Initial location, x and y are 0. I'm going to keep it. And instead of defining the time matrix, I'm going to define it the time interval dt. Dt is like delta t, or time interval, and I'm gonna name this thing as define the time increment. So time increment, I'm gonna say this is time increment. Okay, all right, so then I'm gonna define this j equal 0, which is the initializing the loop counter, right? So initializing the loop counter. Okay, and then I'm going to define a new variable called done equal to 0, and then I'm going to say this is a criteria to stop the loop. If done equal 1, the loop will end. Okay, so that's something very new and interesting. So if you are familiar with the logical operator, which is 0 or 1, what does it mean? So 0 is like coming from the Boolean number, right? So 0 and 1 is like, if 0, that is false, if 1, that is true. Okay, so it's like the same way. Done equal to 0, that is defined. So it says like, if done equal to 1, the loop ends. If done equal to 0, the loop continue runs. Okay, so why are we going to use it? We're going to use it on the condition of the while loop. That's something completely new that you will be experiencing soon. Okay, this is a new way of learning the while loop, and I would say, like, something very interesting and challenging as well. Okay, so write the while loop. So write the while loop. So on that one, that I was saying, like, while, then a function called not. You haven't used this not function at all. Okay, what this not function is doing? Say like, not function is doing whatever inside the parenthesis opposite to that. You understand, Jason? So like, if not 0, that means it's 1. If not 1, that means it's 0. Does it make sense? So that's a not function. And then we'll be putting inside the parenthesis, or in the argument for the not function is done. Okay, that's what interesting. So initially the done is 0. Okay, so done is 0 means not 0 is 1. So the loop is going to run. Does it make sense? So when the done value is 1, then not 1 means 0. The loop is going to end. Okay, that's what kind of unique and new, and I'd like everybody to focus on this. So while not 0, what does it mean? It means not 0 equal 1, that means this is true, this run. Okay, the true means the condition is true, means run. All right, so then you'd like to write this usual thing like, j plus 1 x and y function, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of copying this, okay, and pasting it here. And this time it's a little tricky, okay. I would be doing is dt multiplied j, so that this part is new. I'm highlighting that. Why I'd be doing it? Remember, I didn't define a T matrix, okay? So I didn't want to use any element for T matrix. Rather, every time the j value going to increase, the dt multiplied that j will going to refer to the new time. As an example, say like the j value start from 1 and it ends at 100. So like when the j value is 1, dt is 0.1. So then what? 1 multiplied 0.1 is 1. Sorry, 0.1, right? So that's 1 multiplied 0.1 is 0.1. So that's your first value of time matrix element, right? Which you didn't define it, you're doing it indirectly. Okay, the second element would be 2 multiplied 0.1, which is 0.2. You understand? So instead of defining it as a T matrix element T2, you are defining it indirectly dt multiplied j. You understand? Yes, and all right, so perfect. So that's the thing. That's the only thing I wanted to explain. Very important thing. And obviously, I'd like to. I don't know why in the earth I didn't copy it. I should have. So yep, that's the unit. And then I'm gonna do this as y. Sorry, I'm gonna do a little bit of copy and paste thing. You can do the same if you understand what you're doing and don't do any mistake. It's perfectly fine. And if you don't feel confident, then don't do that. Okay, so dt, just type the whole thing. J, that's the part I'm changing, okay? And then I'm copying that. So instead of this, I'm gonna have this dt. Okay, so that's the part I'm changing. Hopefully you understand. Again, I'm highlighting those where I'm changing this part, this part. All right, these are the places you can do mistake, by the way, if you don't follow it closely. So then I'm defining the time matrix, which is time j plus 1, okay, equal dt multiplied j, and then I am building a matrix of the times we have used. Okay, then the figure 2. So I'm plotting what I'm plotting: x j plus 1, y j plus 1. These are the new thing that I'm doing, and then obviously you can add the marker O just like before, and you can add the marker size as well. That is optional completely. Marker size, you can press enter, so you don't have to type, and then marker size 10. And you may want to copy this. Okay, so the axis, this time you would like to change it to 120, because remember you had lower initial velocity and theta is more, so some changes happen over there. That's why you are changing those values, the axis. And this will gonna do it, and then you're doing nested while loop, by the way. So you'd like to put another statement, if else statement inside. So if the y j plus 1 is smaller than 0, it means the projectile is trying to penetrate the ground. Okay, if that's the situation, then you'd like to define the done remember the done initially was defined as 1, sorry 0, you would like to change it to 1. Okay, so if you're going to do the change, what will happen, change done to 1 to end the loop, because remember you use the not function, not 1 will become 0, then means it's false now, so it will going to end the loop. And here's the problem, every time you start to type the if else statement, and if automatically come, but if you don't have any more else if and else if, then you just simply delete that and end it. Okay, and once you're done with that, and then you'd like to write this loop counter j equal to j plus 1, every time you got to do it, last time you did it as well, and then finally end this while loop. Okay, and like to plot the result, so which is f printf, and the ball is the ground at percentage of point to f /n. Time and okay guys, and that's technically this class part 3. Now part 4 I'm gonna start soon. If you'd like a break, do you guys like a break? So maybe relax a little bit because too much going on, right? And then obviously I'd like to run it first. So that's my figure 1. Figure 2 might have some issue. Let's see, so DJ, so my DJ has issue. Where is my DJ? Okay, it says I did type DJ somewhere. Oh, it should be that, it should be DT. Let me do that again. Yep, now it's working perfectly. So I have these two figures, right? See if I can put it next to each other. Is it running for you guys? Please. The two figures as well. Okay. Yeah, 5 minutes break. Relax a little bit because the second part I'm gonna start soon. Is it running for you Ethan now?
I mean, it's giving me the same error, but everything is correct.
You know what to do, Ethan, right?
Yeah.
Once I'm gonna send you the code in. Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Hello, Anthony. This is Roman. Today, Roman, I live in River. I had issue with my car, so I got his number from Brother Tariq. Yeah. Yeah, I used to live in Arena for a while. It's, yeah, my wife car had electronics issue, and she her work will start from next week, I mean tomorrow actually. So she had to work 7 days on and off. So electronic issues, she tries this from the CRB 2017, and all the signals showed up. Signal means like, all the thing on the dashboard, like all the lines, everything, okay? Okay. It is, but today when she was trying to stop the car, it was giving some more message. Don't do that. The ignition will stop. But it is running, still running. So, I used to go Amlos, but they have very long schedule. I mean, and then the other place weeks out. I can't wait like next week. The appointment is next week. There is another place, Scott, and they had also next week appointment. And they said like it could be one sensor only. Their diagnosis it could be just one sensor, but the CRP doesn't work this way. All everything showed up all together, even if you show it one sensor. So I was just wondering, like, if you have time to take a look today or not. Yeah, see if you can solve it. Then I'll obviously cancel my appointment to Amlos and everywhere. So yeah, yeah. So you give us some time to. All right, yeah. So yeah, no problem. I'm gonna bring it today. What time? 3. Can I do like a little bit late, like 4:30? I have a class up to 3 something. So I teach at SUNY. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be home by 4:30, so I can bring the car like that. So what's the location? Is it like Boston, Norfolk? Alright. So can you send me the address? In that case, it would be like a little bit late, like 4:40 at least, because of, yeah. Thank you very much. Bye. All right, guys, ready for the next thing, next venture? So part 4. All right, so I have 2 more examples, okay? Those are a little bit extensive, but still we can differentiate with 1235, Jason's timeline, okay? All right, but just want to hang it tight because the second one will be really big, okay? That's the fuel economy. The third one is not that bad. This one is the tuition increment. Everybody have a tuition increment here, right? Uh, by the time when you will be graduating, the time when you start, there's a difference on the tuition. Is that the case, or you guys have the lock rate when you started here? It's locked for when you start. I know, but in general, tuition does increase everywhere in US, right? I mean, because of so many expense, right? You see when you go to grocery, everything price is double. All right. So if you're gonna write a program by using the while loop for tuition increment, how would be doing it? Okay. So that is our example number 3. Everybody's ready? Let's start example number 3. So on the example number 3, would be dealing with a college tuition cost. So let's put a little bit more info. So study has been performed and has created. I'm going to go to the next line. Has created a program that forecasts the percentage increase in college tuition. Is near typing the problem. Alright, so college tuition increase. Okay, college tuition, sorry, for the next 22 years. Okay, let's start with the matrix increase. So let's start with the engineering format givens, which is percentage increase in tuition. Just you're gonna fall behind if you don't start typing now. So percentage increase in tuition per year. Okay, there's a typo, just came as year. Okay, so then there's the first thing you are doing here, defining a matrix called increase, and you'd like to define the percentage increase every year. Okay, so let's say first year the percentage increase is 10%, so you'd like to put 10, then 8, then 10, then 16, then 15, then 4, some random numbers I'm putting, right? 6, then 7, then 8, then 10, then 8, then 12, then 14, then 15, then 8, then 7, then 6, then 5, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 8. So you'd like to make sure you have like number of years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I have one more, so 22 years. Okay, let me check. So 10, 8, 10, 16, 15, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 8. Okay, so there is the thing. 7, 8, 10, 8, 12, 13, 15, 8, 7, 6, 5, 7, 8, 9, 8. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, there is 22. I counted wrong. Is it? Do you have 22 as well? Make sure you have 22. Okay. Others it is not going to run. So 22 increment of tuition for 22 years. Next future 22. So tuition, you'd like to define another variable, and the first element of the tuition matrix is tuition 1. Say like there's the first year. Initially the tuition was $7,000. Okay, and then you'd like to put the unit as obviously dollar unit. So you'd like to say so tuition for college for this year, right? And then you'd like to find when the plan to start their 4 years degree, right? That's the thing that you'd like to find from the user. When would like to start, like you do have the years probably coming 4 years down the road, a high school student, middle school student. Okay, you're planning what would be the future tuition. So that's what you're asking the user, that calculate the tuition for each year they are in college. Okay, and their total tuition using the while loop. So I'll be putting that, and use the display or fprintf to show the result in the command window. So these are the requirements. So in the question, so let me put them. We are doing the engineering format, by the way. After givens you have the find, you remember that, then the solution. So on the find in engineering format, what is that you are trying to find? So first thing that you are trying to find, so you are querying, right, the user when they plan to start their 4-year degree. Okay, that's the query. It means we're asking the user what year they're going to start. So that's what we're trying to find. And then number 2, calculate number A. Okay, calculate the tuition for each year they are in college and their total tuition using a while loop. So total tuition means the 4 years they're in college, the total tuition, and then use the display function or fprintf to show results to the command window. Okay, so you want to define the parameters. At this point, I'm going to give you some time to catch up with the typing. Yes, sir. The typing is being not good. Would you like to type too much? Okay. When you're done with the typing? Alright, so defining the parameters. Let's start with the parameter called start. And then you'd like to use the input function. Everyone remember the input function? Input function means you are asking the user. User means like whoever using this program. Say like here you are asking how many years from now will you start college. Okay, and then this /n doesn't work, by the way, for this input in Octave, but MATLAB it does. You can use the /n if you are using MATLAB. So v equal to 1. So this is your loop parameter. I don't know, sorry, parameter. What did I do wrong? Okay. So the loop parameter, what is that? It is the counting years. And then k equal to 1, that's another variable that you define. That's the counter for number of years in college. The cost equals 0. So that's the variable where we keep track of users tuition cost based on start. So by the way, the cost variable where we keep track of is the tuition. Okay. Then we're gonna start writing the while loop. So by doing this, while v is less than or equal to length function. Remember the length function? What does the length function do? Anyone? What does the length function do? No one remember? Number of index or number of element in a matrix, right? So increase your matrix, how many elements there? 22. So this should return you 22. So the while loop should run for 22 times, right? See, that's the condition. So while v is less than or equal to length, L-E-N-G, th, I had a typo here. So length increase, right? Make sure that you are okay. So increase is correct. All right, so that's perfect. I would like to put a note here. So calculate the tuition. Calculate the tuition for each of the next 22 years. Okay. What you're doing, tuition v plus 1 equal tuition v multiplied 1 plus increase v divided by 100. Okay, then you are use if statement to start adding the tuition I to cost once we start college. And for the next 4 years. A lot of text here. Might need some time, so give you some time to catch up. Again, so what we're doing here, we started writing the while loop, and then we define this the tuition statement where we have tuition v plus 1 equal tuition v multiplied by 1 plus increase, that the number of increment of the tuition, divided by 100. Okay, so basically we are keep adding the tuition for the next year based on the increment of the tuition year. Does it make sense? This one is a difficult program. Okay, because you see, it's not necessarily, I mean, you have 22 years worth of data, so you can possibly start the school at any year out of this 22 years, obviously less than 4 years, so 18th years or 15th years, 10th years down the road, right? So you got to pick up that value first, and then based on that value, next 4 years. Okay, so two things at one time you got to deal with here. Okay, let me finish the writing. I'm going to talk more about this. This is tricky program. Just trying to give you the heads up. So use the statement to start adding the tuition to cost once we start college and for the next 4 years. All right, so then this thing, the beauty will happen, like, if statement you're going to use if v is greater than or equal start. Remember the start variable that you define, you are asking the user what year that the user would like to start the college. So say like that start that we are talking here. So if that start is if the v value is start plus 1, okay, and there is this new thing, completely new thing, you never used it. 2 times you got to type the and, that's the logical operator that you are using. And so you'd like to put another condition, k, which is, remember, k is the counter for number of years in college, usually 4 years, right? So and k is less than or equal 4, right? Usually college goes for 4 years. K is less than or equal to 4. I'm sorry, I probably put a comma here. It's less than. Then only this if statement is going to run. And what will happen in the if statement? You're going to keep adding the value in the cost variable. Remember, cost is initially assigned as 0. So then cost should be equal to cost plus this tuition. You had this tuition, right? Every time the while loop is going to run, you had a value of tuition. Remember that? So that tuition value is going to show up here. And let me explain this thing. What is happening? You are adding the tuition I to cost, okay, and then you are defining the k. Remember, the k is the counter for loop. Every year k should be like 4 years, right? K, you are increasing the value of the k. So k should be equal k plus 1. So that's the increase the college year counter. Okay, and then you are ending this, and then you are adding the loop counter as well, loop parameter. So loop parameter was what, like v equal v plus 1. Okay, let me finish this whole thing, then we're going to talk more about it. So then this is your increase. So increase the global years counter. Okay, you have these two counters here, right? You gotta first understand. One is the K, one is the V. So the V, that counter is for all 22 years, right? And for the while loop itself, you know, the while loop needs to run 22 times anyway. Okay, and the K is just for the 4 years, particular 4 years out of these 22 years that you are interested in, right? That makes sense? So these two counters, you must have to keep increase the value of those. So for the global one is v equal to v plus 1. That means the 22 times that this whole while loop is going to running, okay, this thing needs to keep increase the value. And this k is like only 4 times whenever that starts. Now the college starts from year 1, then this whole thing we're going to run for what, how many times? 4 times, right? If the college starts 10 years down the road, the whole thing is going to run 14 times. Does it make sense? Okay. All right. And then you'd like to see some result, right? So basically you'd like to print the result. So print the result to command window. What you're trying to print? So fprintf your 4-year tuition cost if you start in, don't type O, type 0 here, percentage of 0.0 f years is, like to put a $sign, then percentage of 0.2 f, dollar amount you'd like to go to pennies, that's why 0.2 f, and then start cost. I know, okay, you'll be seeing the whole thing now. And then you'd like to show the results in figures, so figure 1. So you'd like to plot 1 colon length, remember the length function, total, so tuition, okay, insert the parenthesis, the total number of element in the tuition matrix, so then tuition, and then you'd like to use this marker O, yeah, save it, run it. It should have, sorry, I have to change it to figure 3. There could be an issue with the code. Okay, so how many number of years? So like after 5 years, no, there is no issue with the code. So total tuition would be 52,740. Okay, if the boy start, so say like, you understand the whole picture, right? Say like the tuition initially the first year is $7,000, and we have the chart for the increment, right? So every year how many percentage of salary, tuition they increase, and that's the figure 3 is showing, right? All right, so now if you're gonna start after 5 years, right, not in first year, so that much amount, like, you know, $52,270 you gotta pay for 4 years of college. Okay, now moving back here, obviously the result is running. See if the code is going if the code is exactly like the way I did type. Okay, try to understand what is V and K. Try to understand why I'm putting the while loop condition. Okay, while loop condition V is less than or equal length of this increased matrix. Try to understand that. That is so important. Again, length of increase means how many element in the increase matrix, which is 22. Basically, I'm saying while loop, run it for 22 times. Okay, as long as the V value is not less than that. So once you've done with that, then you see I keep adding the value of the tuition for every year the while loop is running. The while loop must be to run 22 times. Okay, as you can see from figure 3, the value of the tuition is just showing you that way. You know what? I mean, we do have Wednesday and we have next week Monday. This is 12:15 already, and we are straight doing one after another problem. This is a really difficult problem. Maybe we can do it this way, like on Wednesday, the last problem in while loop we're gonna do. How about that, Jason? On Wednesday, last problem of the while loop we're gonna do. That one is a little tricky, lengthy. And Wednesday, I'm gonna start with the symbolic math. Okay, and then by Monday, I can definitely finish it. Okay, so that means by next week Wednesday, we don't have anything other than just talking with the exam, right? And I'm gonna give you the exam as well on that day. Okay, how about that? You guys have any question, anything? I did upload two homeworks with while loops, right? And one practice problem as I promised. Okay. Okay, so those are the things yours to finish, right, before Wednesday. Actually not before Wednesday, end of this week you can take, because I didn't quite finish everything with while loop yet. Okay, so in Wednesday again, I'm gonna talk a little bit with while loop, as I said. So end of this week, whatever the deadline I put, don't worry. End of this week, take your time to finish both of them. Okay. All right, so you do have time now, and then symbolic math homework, I'm gonna upload it on Wednesday. So that'll be the last homework. Okay, and next week Wednesday I'm gonna give you the exam, and on week 15, on the day of exam, it's due. Okay, everybody got it? Any question? Up to speed. Don't forget to put the class review. Okay, because I said I'm gonna apply for the promotion. Okay. All right, guys.